What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode is brought to you by R&R Pipeline, an infrastructure company. Our purpose? Enhancing America's infrastructure with a safety-driven, integrity-led culture that provides an environment for team members to grow and thrive. Welcome to another edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. Today's guest is someone that has extreme sentimental value as far as how we met, why we met, and our friendship is distant at best. We don't know each other that well, but we have so much mutual respect for each other because of a bad day and a relationship that brought us together. We'll touch on that later. The Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is all about wellness, about how the iron creates grit for your personal infrastructure. There's multiple different ways that can be showcased. Transformation is something that is so powerful in itself. And when someone transforms their life and then wants to help other people, the side effect of that transformation is so much bigger than the one itself. Alex, thank you for coming on today. Your story is incredible, first of all. The weight loss journey, everything that you have done in life in the last 5, 6, 7 years is remarkable. And I want to go right into the transformation side of this. So let's go right into the fat kid who hated himself, was about the fat jokes and got picked on and would laugh at himself and make jokes about himself to hide it and to mask it.
Yep.
Let's start right there, and then let's go into what you were just talking about before we started recording about what just ignited you to change and transform your life.
All right. Well, it's like I said, it all, the whole everything, how that all came to be was like a typical family drama. Parents split up. I go from being this kid that's always outside playing sports. Baseball was my love. Mm-hmm. I love baseball. It was because it was a competition thing with my brother. Mm-hmm. Well, the parents split up, and my discipline and my structure just pulled out from under my feet. And a lot of people don't get that. Mm-hmm. It's something so minute, but I mean, it was a big change at the time. But along with that came lack of discipline, I got introduced to things, PlayStation. I had more time to play on a PlayStation than I ever did. So it just became bored eating, stress eating. I never wanted to go to school.
Your crutch.
Yeah,
right?
My vice. And we lived right across the Hanover Pizza Shop. Mm-hmm. So, hey, Mom, can we order a pizza? I'll walk over and get it, just bargaining. And that weight came on so fast, and I really noticed it, I want to say, about 5th grade. I got held back one year in 5th grade because, again, I never went to school. Mm-hmm. And I took advantage of that. I mean, I was a shit kid because my mom worked 3rd shift at Myers. She'd come home tired. Lo and behold, I'm still there. I'm supposed to get up and get on the bus.
Yeah.
I know. I'd argue with her, like, no, I'm not getting on the bus. Like, no, I'm tired too because I stayed up all night. She was trusting me, and I'm breaking her trust. But here I am just constantly eating how I felt would stress her out, stress me out. And being at Valley, everybody, I loved everybody. I don't care what group you were in. I could relate to you somehow, and we would always laugh about something.
You loved everybody, but probably hated yourself. That's why you loved 100%. Everybody else, right?
It was easy. It was so easy, because I was the fat Mexican kid, and we always joked about it. And I was cool with that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you really sit there and think you're setting aside your pride and you're just punching on yourself and taking it. But I know my friends, they don't mean ill will when they did it. They're rolling with it too, because I know if I needed them, they were there. Mm-hmm. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this all I'm really known as? Mm-hmm. And again, I loved everybody. I could care less what group you're in. Yeah, we had some scuffles and there were some jokes that would go too far, but we're kids. Middle school, high school, I mean, you're gonna have that.
Right.
But you grow from it. And it would carry on. So graduated. I'm still just getting bigger. And I never had any drive to go to college or anything. And I missed out on some. I mean, I could still go back, but it's like I never had that drive. I was continuing that lazy, just getting by. I was more focused on making people laugh, making people feel good, than focusing on my work and taking care of my
focusing
health.
on you feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we were discussing, I would work the bare minimum jobs that required the bare minimum labor, and I was living to eat. My friend and I we would just get off, get $300 every 2 weeks, $30 a month for my insurance on my truck,
Right.
my little beat up S10.
Yep.
Didn't care, had no ambition to drive, but just Panda Express, you name it. Like, we were just eating. We thought we were feeling good because when here we go again, going back on eating to escape and celebrate the bare minimum.
Right.
And it's like I was saying, so having to take a father role of Junior, you know, her parents being estranged, addicted to substances, knowing that is my blood relative and she is going to grow up estranged herself. So my mother and I took control and took charge. And when 8-9 months of her being born, we got parental rights, and it was unanimous. There was no contest on the mom and dad, my uncle, of us taking her. And I get her at the time. I mean, it was maybe once or I lived there, so I got to see her all the time. But once you start getting older, I got to leave the nest. You know. And then it really changed on D-Day, as I call it, because it's just Thorn is just hell on wheels. He was born May 9th and in 2016, and it was my last day. I had Pop that day, and everything was just right. I have 2 other nieces I've never met. I've met one. It's been 12 years ago or longer. They don't know I exist. And I never got to be that uncle.
Right.
Long story with my brother and his first kid's mom, but just knowing now things are aligned, I can finally be that uncle. And they wheeled him in there, and I picked him up and I held him. And again, newborns, they're just fragile glass to me. I don't want to drop them, don't want to hurt them. But I'm like, give me him. Give me that little turd, you know what I mean? And I held him, and I'm just like, and I said it in my mind, I was like, and I'm going to be the coolest fucking uncle that this kid will have. He will be so proud of me. He will be so happy to see me and be around me. So right then, no more Pop. Baby steps. December that year, I started at Planet Fitness.
Which, to go cold turkey with Pop is not a baby step, by the way. That's something to be recommended and commended in itself.
Man.
You know, especially if you're drinking regular Pop. It's such a addiction and such an insulin like rush that people don't even understand insulin sensitivity in general. But when you're addicted to Pop, man, it like will consume your life the same as a cigarette. Yeah. Because it determines your mood.
I need it.
Yeah.
Every morning, I want to say from 2014 damn near to 2016, every single morning, and like I get my mother in here and vouch for this, but she's seen me every morning. I would wake up, have a hospital mug, 2 cans of Pop, fill it up with a half cup of ice, fill that up, 2 cans of Pop and jalapeno kettle cooked chips. Every morning, that was my shit. Man, it was just so hard to beat because it was just the right amount of dopamine boom to the taste buds to the mind. Oh, the thought of it now makes me just
like cringe.
Oh, dude, I can like walking by like chips and cookies nowadays. The willpower to just, I remember what it tastes like. I'm good that quick. But back to Thorn, and then I remember a promise I told my dad. I said, Dad, every job I get, it's going to pay better and be better. So I had that going. So now I have a newfound drive being my nephew. I need to be around for him.
You need a role model, right?
Exactly. Because, you know, sometimes your parents, you don't want to look up to them as much as you do. You need the other outside sort, the safe zone. And I want to be these kids' safe zone. So time goes on. I start joining, I joined Planet Fitness, start off with the bare minimum. Dumbbell chest press, bicep curls, rope crunches, and I'd bike for an hour.
So what was your weight at this point?
Heaviest, it was just north of 300.
And you were
Just north, maybe 305. I'm 5'9",
5'9",
6 foot on dating apps.
So 5'9", stretched out to 6 foot, depending on the platform. But so 5'9", 300 pounds, call it,
Dude.
and
Just, what's the one McDonald's dude? Grimace.
yeah.
Skinny legs, big upper body. It was just bad,
Yeah.
all bad. And
So you didn't win the genetic lottery either, and you just
No.
made it 10 times worse.
yeah,
Right?
straight up,
Yeah.
like no calves, no. I mean, it's all bad.
I can relate to that too. I understand.
But it's like
Yeah.
like we said, you go for the feeling. But
So you go to Planet Fitness, and you're making stride, doing the basics. Don't know what you're doing, but you're doing it.
Yeah,
doing something
well,
right.
then I find my brother. My brother's always been into weightlifting. But he's more of a powerlifting guy. So I don't want to look like you, but I want to be strong like you. So, but he knew way more than I ever did. So I went from working retail jobs, making crap money every 2 weeks to, okay, I got a decent job that's very stable, making $11.70 something versus $9, and it's 40 hours a week minimum versus part-time. Cool. I can afford better gym. So I found this gym down the street. It's Alpha. It's still there, kicking. I mean, a lot of memories. I mean, we're going to touch on that. And
And it has something very similar to like an old school gym vibe. It's
Yes.
kind of throwback, kind of gritty.
It's just,
you might get an STD from the toilet seat. You might not. You don't really know.
it's the gym,
Right? Yeah, it is.
It's a fun time.
Right.
Like, you know what to expect when you get there. And I mean, it says right there on the wall, you are not special. And Josh to this day still, he's still Josh. Like, you go there, I feel still welcome there. And that's the best part about it. And started going there, and then next thing you know, I get an Instagram DM from Mason Baker. Hey man, that gym you go to, like, where's it at and how much is it? And I tell him, he goes, sick. I'll meet you there. Let's go. Let's do something. And I didn't have that mentality yet, like that I have to do this. It's more of a I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna keep going. I was patting myself on the back for bare minimum things. Well, then comes this just crazy,
wild, tenacious,
wild, driven, and
clumsy and outspoken.
Yes, and just goofy.
Yeah.
We had the most insane workouts ever. And like I said, my favorite workout to this day, we did arms. I think it was an anniversary of that Harambe, the gorilla dying or something like that. Just Goofy Mason. He's sitting there, and we're gonna hit arms for like 3 hours tonight. Yeah, dude. I want to look like you. Let's do it. We put on a playlist, and our love was Slipknot. Slipknot was always our thing. And I just remember him making me puke, not from the workout, but just because he had these eggs and steak sitting in his car in the sunlight, baking. And I'm sitting there doing tricep extension. He walks over and just shoves them up.
The
And
smell of it.
oh, dude, it was just, we were just dudes.
Yeah.
We were just dudes. And
Just guys being guys.
yeah, like we haven't seen each other since high school. Of course, this is about 3 or 4 years after high school. It's nothing crazy. He went through college, and I just stayed in town and worked. But it was every single day, and sometimes even 2 days. We'd go in there and we'd just put each other through it. And it just became so much easier. And that was my first, like, my gym bro. You know what I mean? And it couldn't have been anyone better. And, this bracelet is still the same one I've had since we've had him made. I'm never taking it off. And now I'm still deciding ideas for a tattoo for him, because it's just an unspoken thing. Like, your first gym bro will always be your gym bro.
It's it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter what happened that day. No one gives a fuck about your feelings, your race, your beliefs. The churches, they can go to hell, because this is about iron and getting better.
Yeah.
And when you walk through that door, it's like the sanctuary changes, and it's just about getting better. What happened yesterday is irrelevant. What happens tomorrow isn't tomorrow yet.
We have
So
now.
what is right now? That's it.
Yep.
And the gratitude that you have during the moment, when you're able to conceptualize it and just be patient and present for just a moment and understand, like, man, this is something special.
It is.
And it's amazing when you finally hit that point that you can reflect on it in the moment. It's so powerful to be able to just embrace that moment. Because one day, as you're going to get ready to probably explain, the moments are going to end no matter what.
Man.
Every great moment in life ends no matter what.
has to.
Nothing lasts forever.
The show goes on, but that concert for that time ends. You know what I mean? And I think my favorite things that we always did, after we would do heavy compound days, whether it be just heavy bench session, squat session, and we would close Alpha down. We'd start there at like 5 in the evening, and it'd be like 9 p.m. It's dark, crickets are out. We still have the door open, our music blasting. We'll just go out, sit against the door that's closed, and just bullshit. It could be about the same thing we just talked about 2 days ago, but we're touching on it again. It's like he didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. So we just sat there, and it was just empty talk, but it was just like, you remember.
It's empty on surface, but internally,
like
the most rewarding thing you could ever have.
Like, looking back, I'll take those empty conversations that we had just to kill time versus anything else with him, because he got me in such a, not a do or die state, but like
it.
Like if I lay down tonight, would I be happy with what I did today? And he was working I'm pretty sure it was third shift at Amazon. Dude would get off work. Hey, where you at? Or in the evening, like 2 like, bro, sleep. I'll sleep, later on. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
So he did a lot of crazy shit too. I remember him calling like a week or so before a concert. He drove to Maryland, I think, 8 or 10 hours by himself for this concert. Drove back after. Like he just was about it at that point.
He was.
Yeah, it's incredible. Some of the shit he would do just to pick up and go do it, like, man, I wouldn't even do that when I was that age. I didn't have the desire to, but I wouldn't have anyway. Like, I had the courage to go do that.
Man, if there's one thing I just wish more than anything, would just go to a show with him. I never had that pleasure of going to a show with him. And, thankfully, like Scotty and Marshall and Bryce and all of them, they keep that going for him. You know what I mean? They keep that alive. And I'm like, I remember the first time seeing Slipknot, I want to say it was a year after his passing. He was there with me. And I tell everybody the Gray Chapter, for many reasons, is my favorite album. And if I was to have a son, middle name would have to be Gray. Many reasons why, but the amount of times I listened to that album after he passed, dude, and I'm not having another junior in my life because I already got my junior, but it would be AGB Elijah Gray. Gray after not only that album, but that's strictly for Mason.
Yeah.
That's my bro.
I can relate so much to that because he was probably 16 or 17-ish when me and Mackenzie first started dating. So probably like 17, going into senior year. Senior year football was there for all that. And then when he got out, he just didn't know what he wanted to do. But as he went to OU and did the college thing, he started to really figure out the meaning of life, the training. And like, I don't know where I want to go yet, but I know what I am doing isn't going to get me anywhere. No. So I got to change. I got to do something different. And I remember having a lot of conversations with him at OU. So I was in that area quite frequent at that point with business. And his 21st birthday, I went and picked him up at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, is there any showhole bars that are even open here? Like, we went and drank a beer for lunch for his 21st birthday. And we would have the same, what was seemingly empty conversation, but now looking back was so impactful for me because I didn't realize it at that time. I remember telling him about buying this company, man, I was like, I'm kind of a crazy fucker. Like you're going to hear me say some things that you think I'm absolutely insane. And I am, and I'm not kidding when I'm saying these things. And like, you'll be able to tell the difference, but I'm going to buy this company by the time I'm 30. And I think I was 26. Yeah. Okay, Jake, that's cute, And then he realized like, oh, he's not kidding. Like there was a conviction that I had and he's seen it. And then I told him, at one point, I was like, man, within 5 years, I'm going to have the sickest home gym that you're ever going to see. It's something that's been a bucket list item in mine forever. I'm going to have 1970s, old rusty weight where you drop a 5 on the floor, it's all rusty, it might break in half. Like,
lose a pound of rust.
And, heavy bags galore. I'm going to have a sauna. I'm going to have all this stuff,
Sauna, man.
Little did I know that 5 years later, we would be having like an opening day, celebration for him, and I would dedicate the gym to him. I never would have anticipated that. Yeah. But I remember telling him at a bar, and it might have been on that 21st birthday, about the gym. And I kind of forgot about it for the longest time. And then we move into this new house, and I see this RV bay. I'm like, that's the fucking gym right there. And then it just like flooded me one night.
And it looks phenomenal.
And it turned out like he would have wanted it, you know?
What is so cool even too, and I thought about this the other day, because when we all went out there, it was me, you, Scott, the Saxon twins. We just had
Hunter, Hartshorn.
Hunter, yep.
And I don't know, I think that was about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember who else, if anyone, but yeah.
And then what showed up while we were all finishing up bullshitting, having a sip of whiskey, chilling down by the pond, what showed up? It was all a dream, your light. Mm-hmm. I was like, that was just perfect timing on that day. Like you said, there's no stopping that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And so back to Alpha with Mason.
Yeah.
And he got me, and he taught me so much, you know, chest, shoulders, you know, back and by, shoulders and tries, simple push-pull legs.
Right.
And then we would also obviously have the bro day, arm day, and just be stupid into hours.
Everybody got a Flex Friday in their life.
We had to.
Yeah.
And then that day happened. I'm pretty sure I was at Kroger, and he was calling me like, "Hey man, where you at?" He'd been up all night. I know he was going through some tough things. He was up all night. He was at Roosters the night before, and was wanting me to come out and drink. I'm like, I can't. You know, I gotta get some stuff done in the morning. Now looking back,
yeah, no, me too.
I know, and I got
so the last thing I ever said to him was, "I can't tonight, bro." And I remember this little fucker, man. I wanted to kill him because a week or so before the Cavs were playing in the finals, and I think they were down 3-0, and they ended up coming back to beat Golden State, like in that run. Me, him, and Hunter Hartshorn are at Roosters at the corner bar. I could take you to the freaking seat. And Mason's about half peeled. I had a few drinks. Hunter was driving. Everything was good. And he started saying something. I didn't know he was underage or didn't have an ID or something. Like there was something with it where we were at Roosters and he was underage. And I'm like, fuck you mean you're only 20? Like I had thought in my head that he was 21 at that point. And so it must have been a while before. But anyways, like I'm like, what do you mean? It was hilarious.
He was so full of life, and it was so hard. But you just know, because we did have those days.
Yeah,
he come in, he didn't say much. He's going through something, and I remember one day, I just got off work, and it was one of the times I was working in loyalty of this place, where every phone call I got, "You motherfucker stole my money." Right. I'm like, dude, credit to those people who can handle that. Right. Like now I feel like I could, but man, I was just spent. Mm-hmm. I think it was one of my last screenshots I took of our text at the time. Mm-hmm. Hey man, and plus I was going through an issue with a girl at the time, and I said, "Nah, I'm skipping the day." You know how girls, you know. He goes, "Soft." Yeah. That's all he said. Soft.
I'll see you in 20 minutes.
I was just like, "You bastard."
Right. But so let's talk about this for a minute, because we talk about hardship and adversity, and we haven't even discussed what actually happened yet, and we'll get to that toward the end. But this painful adversity that me and you both felt from a very young age. I was also the fat kid that was overweight. I was also the one that got made fun of. I also had all these issues of myself where I was always in fear. I was never enough for anybody, let alone myself.
Yeah.
So to think about loving myself was almost a joke. And whether that was because of the outside environment dictating terms for me, or me not applying myself and knowing it and having to face myself every night when I laid my head down, whatever it may be, there's a point where the current state is so painful that staying the same is no longer an option. That the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same. And when your nephew was born, that was your trigger.
It was.
We've all had that breaking point, I think. And whether or not we all can identify that one breaking point or a series of events, it never leaves us.
No, you'll never forget it.
Never forget it. And even to this day, I still don't forget it. And I take my shirt off every day and get put on camera every day, taking pictures every day, just as a reminder to myself, this isn't who you should be, but you can also go back to being that other person that
Just
would run from this.
Yeah.
The fat kid that would leave his T-shirt on when he got in the swimming pool in front of all the classmates. Like, you probably can relate to that.
Like I said, we just said earlier, I still have the habit of pulling my shirt out when I sit down or putting a pillow over me.
Yeah. And I remember wearing a shirt, jumping in the swimming pool. Like, all the little skinny kids have their shirts off.
And the sound it would make when you pull over that.
Yeah, and then it's just like this big blanket like around you, soaking ass wet, and you look like a complete dipshit.
Man, you're putting me way back on the parts I forgot about.
And what you don't realize is that you probably make it 10 times worse than the reality of the situation with this preconceived notion of what everyone else is thinking.
Yeah.
And it's 90% on you.
Like, you feel like everyone has their eyes on you. That's my ex and a good friend. She would sit there and she would be like, not everyone's looking at you.
Yeah.
I told her, I was like, but I just can't shake that sometimes. Yeah. Like, I really feel, because I know how I feel if I see something I'm not used to seeing. Like you said, someone with a shirt on in the pool, very odd. Mm-hmm. Very, very rarely does that happen.
Right.
So it's like when you're used to that feeling, or wearing a hoodie out in 100-degree weather, you're trying not to draw attention to yourself, but
you end up doing it.
Yeah. So then you make it, and I'm not an anxious person, but I just feel, and at that time,
so you're bringing attention to something that no one's paying attention to.
Exactly.
And it's something that you don't even understand, but it's because you can't quit paying attention to it. And until you figure out that, you know what, drinking this pop and eating these Doritos and eating all this shit food is making me feel this way, and in return, I'm doing these things out of a reaction to my own choices.
And it's making it worse.
I have to change.
Exactly.
And that's the first step, is realizing that change needs to happen. And later down the road, you start to understand that no matter what you do, you are not going to get rid of these thoughts and these things in your head. They are with you for life, but it's what you do in reaction to that thought.
Exactly.
It's not the adversity in life that will hurt people. It's how you react to the adversity.
Respond versus react.
100%.
Once I learned that, it saved me in so many conflicts, whether it be at work, whether it be in a relationship, or just simple arguments and discussions. Because I will say, the Baldridge side is very quick to react. Mm-hmm. And that is a trait I developed from my dad. He is a very big on explosive reaction. The mouth moves quicker than the brain. Mm-hmm. And
it can be detrimental.
And talking about breaking cycles, like, I never want to snap at my kids. Yep. I'm big on discipline with them. Don't get me wrong. Yep. But when in terms of like yelling, because that's instilling fear, and you do not want to instill fear in the kids, because you need to be their safe zone.
Right.
And that's one thing that once I learned that responding, it's just so wild how those words put together like that, respond versus react, can really just change your perspective on a lot of things. I don't have the ability to argue in slow motion or discuss in slow motion. Some people are great at it. And that's where it's like doing your morning process, being secure with yourself. Like you get it. I get up and do my little movements. You do your workouts in the morning, and then the hardest part of the day is done. Mm-hmm. You're ready for what's about to be thrown at you. Someone cuts you off, instead of wanting to pull out and just shoot at them or something. My bad. Chill. You know what I mean?
It's perspective. Like, does this thing really matter to the bigger picture in life? And it doesn't.
In 20 minutes, I'll forget about it.
Exactly. And if you linger on it too long, then you have a much bigger issue than the thing, right? Like, there's something that you haven't resolved yet. So I came up with, I call it a 5P problem solving guide, and something I did for myself because of this exact thing. Whenever I had been faced with a problem, especially within business, my initial reaction, because of my like how I am wired, is I'm shooting emails, I'm getting questions out to get answers, to get information. But what I did not understand is, by doing that, I become a liability, not an asset to my team, because I'm not explaining what the purpose behind of it is. And I'm asking detailed questions. I'm asking questions that are kind of outside of the box, and I create chaos because I create no clarity. So I don't say, hey, I'm asking you about this because I have this thing I'm looking into. And I didn't realize that I was creating this angst amongst people, because I'm asking all these random freaking questions of people with no idea of what the outcome should be. And so the 5P process, the first one is presentation. And so what I do, and I've used this in multiple personal matters, a ton of different scenarios where take a deep breath. Before I engage my mouth, I let my brain engage what is fact. What are the facts of this situation?
Yeah.
So if I understand what is the reality factually, not what emotion says, what logic says, show me the facts. And if I don't have facts on it, I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to get the facts. Before I engage my brain on what I think, I'm going to engage my brain to get what is fact. And then the reality of the situation changes automatically. And call it a third-party viewpoint. So me and you are sitting here. I put myself over in that corner and say, okay, if I'm looking at it from an outside perspective with no like insight to this at all emotionally. You say lawyer?
Voyeur,
yeah. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. What are the detailed facts, big picture, 3 to 5 critical things that I need to know in order to assess this from someone that knows nothing about it? From a logic standpoint, take the emotion out. And it sounds almost corny or like hokey, but 30 seconds of doing that in a situation can save you a lot of hardship.
Yeah.
Because one thing, when you, like if you engage your mouth and say something, you can never unsay it. Mm-mm. The only hope that you might have is it's not heard. But even at that, like once it's said, don't press send. I talk a lot about not pressing send. You can never unsend something.
Nope.
Regardless of your intent, regardless of what your presentation is supposed to be, how it's received is the real communication.
The delivery and the receiving.
Yeah. So sometimes communication is the feedback that you get. How you communicate something and what you think it should be received as doesn't mean it's going to. Mm-mm. The reception and the feedback is what was communicated. Because what you're saying isn't what you're receiving; it's who's receiving it and how they articulate it. So, understanding that, man, just getting the facts. Don't press in. Chill out for a second. Don't show your ass. Just take a minute.
And it's so easy to do that.
It is so easy. And I'm sure you're wired similar to myself, where like shit, you guys, I'm saying you're just gonna say it, but how many times have you just not said it and felt a lot better and just kind of address the situation?
I would rather it eat at me a little bit than me saying something and it just be blown out of proportion.
I would rather people think that I'm a fool for not saying something than to open my mouth and confirm that I am a fool.
And then keep digging yourself a hole.
Right. And sometimes, what's the best way to get out of a hole? Put down the shovel. Yep. Quit digging it. Quit talking about it. Quit, going into it more, trying to figure it out with your mouth and not your brain. So I understand that, man. There's a lot of power in understanding that message and understanding that intent can only go so far, as far as what's received. It's amazing how that can be thrown, differently. So
100%.
Let's go toward your career path and how you said earlier, you're always wanting to progress. That's not how you said it, but that's what you're essentially meaning is, I'm not going to take another opportunity unless it's going to get me somewhere that I want to go. Mm-hmm. So that in itself is admirable. Talk about now what you're doing and the impact that it's had, not only on you and the side effect being the impact it's had on a lot of other people, and then the gratitude that it's given you because of that opportunity.
Man. So it's just funny because I went from working that call center, and then my buddy, his dad, is a sergeant down at the county jail, and I had no idea what a corrections officer was, but it sounded cool, right? Mm-hmm. You go from working retail, construction, factory, call center, a corrections officer sounds pretty freaking cool, right? And then you get the rundown of it. Yeah, you just guard inmates. All right, so I'll check it out. I'm not gonna lie. April of 18, had a walkthrough in there, and my sergeant walked me into this module, and it was module H, and it houses 60 plus. And I'm thinking, jail, they're behind bars. They don't gotta get near you. Nah, these dudes are out and about around you and this and that, and it's just you in there. I was scared shitless.
And you're outnumbered.
Oh, dude, I'm sitting there like this. My eyes are locked on him, and he's telling me the benefits of this job, and I'm not listening to a damn word he's saying because I was scared shitless. But I'm not backing down from it. I mean, at the time, I think it was starting out at like $24, $26 an hour, and I'm like, from $11 to this, I'd do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So finally got the job. I started in September, And took me a while to find my groove, but it was just the simple fact I am progressing for these kids. Now these kids get to look up and see me wear this uniform, this deputy uniform, and it's a respectable job. And I take pride in, obviously, now at this point I have lost over 120 pounds.
Wow.
And now it's time to progressively put some weight on.
So I'm going to stop you right there. So 5'8", 300 pounds to 5'8".
The lowest
I mean, let's just call it 6'1" on social because, I mean, holy shit, you had to grow and you lost all that weight, right?
Oh, yeah. You go to the gym to get taller.
Right,
So,
exactly, yeah. So 300 pounds and then you drop down to...
The lowest I got was 163.
Wow.
And it was...
And you were too lean, by the way, too
dude,
small. Then I remember that.
It was disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just sunk in, and my form. I mean, it was just, it looked bad. But but I'm still learning. You know, it was always learning. And
so essentially, 140 pounds was your biggest weight loss at one point. How long did that take you?
I started in 16, and it was roughly it was July of 18, so a little over 2 years.
Yeah. Which for everyone listening that thinks I'm going to drop 100 pounds in 2 months and it's going to be great. First of all, you're not going to. And if you do, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass 100%. So hard. So 140 pounds, call it 2 years, 70 pounds a year. That's a very, very good, fast pace. But what is really something to be admired isn't the weight loss in itself. It's the evolution after. Because I know a lot of people that have lost a ton of weight and then fell back into the same trap thinking that they had achieved the prize, but what they didn't do is understand the internal feeling that they should have from that weight loss. It was this external, this weight scale judgment and not this internal gratitude.
Man.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the success criteria of the weight loss, but what it really meant.
It was more of I'm able to run and play with these kids. I get to, I knew I got to extend my life by losing this weight because, again, I want these kids to look at me. I don't ever want these kids to go to school and feel the way I felt. I want them to know that there's somebody that they can go to and look up to and just be themselves with. And I will never hold anything against them. I'm never going to sit there and smack what's Junior's favorite thing, Skittles, out of her hand. I won't do that. But if it gets to a point, I'm going to be the person that I wish I had telling me, hey, man, you got some torpedo tits. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, you're getting out there. I never had that. And what came along with it was going for the feeling of just, I'm so happy I get to do this. I'm so happy I'm still a beginner to this day. I've hit a 500-pound deadlift. I've hit a 405 squat. I'm never going to hit 315 bench. I'm not a bench monster. I'm totally happy with 275, but I still get to try new workouts. Recently, burpees. It's been going on 7 years of this journey, and I'm finally just being comfortable enough to do burpees, and how much they kick your ass, and it goes back to what I work with. So working with those guys. So after being there, I'm going on 6 years of being at the county jail now. And I've been a grunt, the way I put it. I've been a grunt. Like, I haven't been reaching out and expanding, wanting to do new things. I'm just happy showing up, doing my 8, sometimes 16. And I get to speak with people who are at their lowest, who have been to prison, and some who are facing life. And I have stories upon stories. Pretty sure I couldn't share them all, but I will share the most general consensus thing. Yeah. And it's the if I'm in a module, you're in, and one of the things working that job is you'll get some resistance from some guys that would be like, oh, you get to go home and see your family. But in reality, I'll look at them, I'll be like, dog, I see you more than I see my family. Well, you get to go home. Do I? If you knew how I lived, you probably wouldn't want to live like me. What do you mean? I said, well, for one, I get up at 5:30, take my dog out, do the little nuances of life, right. But then immediately stretch, push-ups, pull-ups, dips, whatever it is that day for about an hour. Eat breakfast, come hang out and have to deal with you. We start laughing at that point, and hang with you guys. Then what do I do when I get out of here? I go hit the gym for about 2 hours. Go home, prep my meal, do it again the next day. I said, I might have one day on the weekend I get to have fun. And fun for me is maybe a couple slices of pizza with the kids. Other than that, it's the same thing. I'm just prepping for life. And then we'll start talking about the weight loss, and they'll sit there and be like, Baldridge, were you in the service? Because they'll see the jawline that I worked so hard for and the posture. I'm like, nah, dude. I was 300-pound dude, and I had a slouch, and I had big old boobs. Conversation snowball. No way, because again, you got to give a little for them to give a little back.
Respect
it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
And then we start talking, share the similar story, and then it just becomes, you just see them inspired by it. They could think I'm totally lying, but I want them to know, like, I'm so passionate about this.
Authenticity is something that
it's your superpower. Yeah, it is your power.
Yep.
And I will speak to these guys, and they'll, guess how many push-ups we did this day, and they will tell me, and I'm like, good. How do you feel? I don't care if you sit there and they say, I've had people tell me they've done 2,000 that day. I don't care if they only did 200, but you did something. Because in there, all you have is just time. You have the time to, what are they doing on the outside? It's so easy to be negative in there. And this goes back to my mindset. The first few years I worked there, it was so hard for me because I could not take my personal problems into work, but I kept doing it.
Well, that environment is so toxic.
It is. And
if you allow it to be.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So the first couple of years were tough because I could not separate. But then once I found my groove, and you're speaking to these guys, and like you say, like with conviction, like, here's what you can do. It became, hey, if you were to cut weight in here, what would you order on commissary? What would you knock off my commissary order? Should I get some of these and trade for this? And the biggest thing that they get mad about is when I tell them, do not get peanut butter. Why? It's protein. It's a fat, dude. It is a fat. You look at the macros on that. Yeah. Oh, honey buns, dude. Yeah. Oh my God. They smell delicious when you're passing them out. It's like 96 grams of carbs and like 50 some grams of fat. And these guys will chow down on 5 of those in one sitting. Jesus. And I'm like, dog, how can you? That's
why you're tired.
Yeah. But these guys, and like I said, the conversations I'll have with these guys have done hard time. Like the old law guys that's done 10, 20, 30 years. It's insane because what do they have to do? Self-development. Guys that's worked there a long period of time, self-development, because you have to have a structured mind for it. And I preach structure. And in this job, the reason why it's so good for me is because I'm a structured individual. I need it. And this job gives me it. It gives me a discipline. These guys, I walk in, they know what to expect of me. And all of a sudden, they all work out that day. And it just makes me laugh because I'm like, hell yeah. These guys are doing it with no caffeine, no chicks for them to watch them, no nothing. Pure killing time, going for the feeling. And I tell guys, I tell my friends too, oh man, I'm having a shit day. Go for the feeling. I would rather have a horrible workout with no pump, the flattest pump, everything hurts, than sit at home, eat more than I should have, and then just feel sorry for myself.
Dude, there's so much power in committing to doing something daily that is really hard. And just like we were talking about earlier, horrible sinus infection all weekend, can't breathe, can't sleep, wake up, just feel like dog shit. And Monday, like, I was borderline nervous driving to the gym because of how bad I felt. I get in here, I never shook it. I had a complete shit workout. I left like 40 minutes into the workout, but that's 40 minutes that I got in that I wouldn't have had I not showed up. And sometimes the power in showing up and getting the thing done, dude, it is such a mental strength builder. Like when you have every reason not to and you still do it, that's when you start clicking the mental wins, and you don't understand that part of it until you establish this non-negotiable discipline. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're smiling, because I don't negotiate with myself. These days I'm going to be here. I'm going to do this. It's in my calendar. From 4 to 6, I'm training physically. From 6 to 8, I'm training mentally. Yeah. So 2 hours of working out every morning, 2 hours of personal development every morning.
And
Now, it doesn't always go that 4-hour block is me. That's my time. I'm getting better that amount of time.
and you're ready.
The day is already won at that point. Anything that I'm going to face that day, I'm good with.
And like these guys, they know you don't feel good that you work out with, but they see you show up anyway. You know what I mean? It's in Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night. I said I drank, and I haven't drank in a long time, and I drank that night. And I think it was 2 cocktails and I think 6, 7 shots of tequila. And and I have no tolerance, but surprisingly I was good. But the next day, felt like shit. I didn't go to the gym, but that's the beauty of having that pull-up station in the house. I did, I want to say maybe
You did something very uncomfortable
15,
that day.
Yeah, 15, 18 sets of 5 wide grip pull-ups. Got a nice back pump going. I was like, you know what? My cousin works right downtown. I said, I'm going to just walk, get my hair cut. So I go for a walk. It felt perfect. Right after that walk, man, it's just something so simple and like...
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about iron. And I use the iron reference because of weightlifting for me.
Yeah.
That's my go-to. But it can be, going for a walk, anything wellness related. So just movement, like active, intentional movement in life is so powerful in itself. You don't have to be a 4 a.m. crew homie, deadlifting 500 pounds. Like it doesn't have to be that. But finding something that gives you the mental release and mental clarity after you're done. I can tell you a lot of years in my youth, probably similar to you, that I should have went to jail multiple times. I should not be sitting here on this right now. I should probably still be there. Actually, I know I should still be, but that's another story. We'll let that one ride.
I'm there with you.
I shouldn't be here, but I am because how that iron built my infrastructure and calloused me in a way that you cannot even explain on some days.
No.
And some days you don't even know that, man, I'm glad that I put in that extra set that day. I'm glad I redialed in my discipline. I'm glad I went and got my blood work done last quarter because now I know that this thing I'm facing right now isn't going to be nearly as challenging had this other thing not been addressed.
Exactly.
You dial into discipline when you don't need it because you're going to need it eventually. Like the 4 seasons of life, dude. There's the summer and the spring and all this great weather. Winter comes every fucking year in Ohio. And guess what? For the last 6,000 or 7,000 years on Earth, it's been cold in Ohio probably every year recorded.
Just about
Winter's not going to get easier, but we can get stronger.
And just about like every morning too that people battle. How comfy that bed is. I get it. I get that. You know what I mean?
Do the hard thing every day and live a long, purposeful, easier life.
Oh, dude.
You do the easy thing every day, and one day your life is going to get turned upside down and be so hard that you may never recover from it.
You're going to respond or react to it.
That's it.
And
wellness or illness. You're focused on one either way, and one is intentional, that is your wellness. You are creating a better livelihood, first of all. You're alive longer.
You get to enjoy
just like Mason.
all those things.
Mason's a prime example, man. Think about Mason. He was not here very long with us, but he was the most alive human I've probably ever met.
He lived.
He lived it to the fullest.
He did what he lived life on his terms.
And how many people die at 25 and get buried at 75?
Wishing.
Horrible. The definition of hell to me is dying and then facing the person that you could have become and not knowing who that person is because you didn't live up to your potential. Whenever I die, I plan on high-fiving my twin and saying, man, we maxed this freaking body out. We did everything conceivable in life. No regrets. We could not have pushed any harder, done any more, and had more fulfillment in life. That's my plan.
And you helped others along the way.
And that's the side effect of it. And that's where I want to go now, because that is the most powerful side effect of anything that you do selfishly, because your weight loss was for you. It was for nobody else.
Juvenile.
Quite frankly, no one else gave a shit.
No, it's just like
even if you thought they did.
Juvenile. I just wanted abs. Everything starts out juvenile. Any goal starts out. You want that. You want that job. What was the first thing you get with that job?
There's a tangible motive almost to everything that you set out. And what you don't realize is once you achieve that tangible thing, the tangible thing isn't the actual reward. It's a byproduct of how you feel.
Yeah.
You wanted abs. You just really wanted to love yourself. The abs were the side effect.
Nope.
the abs were not the reason that you loved yourself. The reason that you cared about yourself and you became selfish and disciplined is because of how you felt internally.
Exactly.
And that's such a huge misconception, especially in today's world of instant gratification.
Dude, the way that is nowadays, how it's so easy to not do anything because everything's right at the palm of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I've fallen victim to it a couple times.
We all have.
A few times, just, I'm not going to go today.
Yep.
And then scrolling. I mean,
Yep.
everything is so simple and it breaks my heart. These kids have a rough growing up because of that. But back to, so we don't sidetrack, but no, the results and the side effects, like you said, starting out juvenile, I just wanted abs.
Yep.
It's my main goal. I didn't care what weight I got. I just wanted my abs to show. I think I was 218 before I saw like the first two. You couldn't tell me nothing that day. Shirt off. I mean, I was still kind of flimsy and flabby, but you see this? Suck in a little bit and flex it.
Yeah.
But it started out juvenile, but then came the science and everything with it, like your diet, a little bit of cardio, hypertrophy. Didn't know what that was until then. And I'm like, started doing that. Oh my God, dude. The shaping and carving of everything just started falling into
You
place.
started developing yourself as a person.
It was so cool.
It was so much more than this physical attribute.
Yeah.
It was the person you were able to become and the things you were able to learn, articulate, implement, and then see the success of it.
It's so
Powerful, man.
It's so cool because it's like we were talking about. I didn't care what I was doing in school. I didn't care. I was making people happy. Now it's so neat that there's people that were in better shape than me throughout those years in school asking for advice, even if it's something super simple, like, hey, what do you eat? Hey, how much cardio do you do? Now my identity went from the fat funny guy to the in shape funny guy. And I love that because my love for people hasn't gone anywhere. I will do anything for anybody. It's like, I don't care who you are, what you are, be good to me. I'm going to be good to you. I'm going to respect you, whatever you want to be known as. People are great because you can always learn something from them. And that job taught me that. Some of these guys, tatted up faces, this and that, could teach you how to make a rose out of a toilet paper, a sheet of toilet paper. It's just something so simple like that. That's just so neat. And it's just a little gesture. You do that for check this out. Give it to your wife or your girlfriend. It's just so little mundane things in the conversations. But to help people back at that job, 8 hours a day, I know these guys are going to have a good day. I'm going to instill belief in them, get through the workout, get through the day. Because the biggest mistake those guys make, they get on that phone. What are you doing? I need this. I need that. You're making it about you. It's not about you. Call them and just ask how they're doing. How's their day? Acknowledge that you're having a bad time in there, but give them love. Because right now, that's all you can do. And I do that with my friends as well. One of my friends yesterday, she was having a horrible day, horrible mental health day. And she cleaned her house, cleared her closet, stayed busy, went for a walk, and she told me she had such a good day after that.
Productivity, action, and results to showcase what you did that day is like one of the biggest dopamine enhancers, rushes that you can ever have, and it can change your mood so much. People underestimate the power of achievement.
Yeah.
And the side effect is what you instill in other people. So what you did was not tell people how to do this thing. If they asked, you told. But you're not out there preaching and telling people what to do. You're doing what you need to do for you. And the byproduct is everyone seeing, man, he's in a really good mood. He's in this toxic shithole hell. And he's coming in here with a smile on his face, high-fiving everybody, in a great mood. And there is no scenario this day that's going to put him down. I want to feel that way.
I'm ready.
And you just lead by what you're doing. And the worst day that you might be having, you're not showing it to everybody else.
No. They don't deserve
We carry
that.
weight that so many people don't know about.
Nope.
And that's okay.
It's not them. I can handle it.
Exactly. And understanding, like, okay, if I can be in a bad mood for no reason, why can't I be in a good mood for no reason? If I can think of the absolute worst case scenario that could happen here, why can't I think of the absolute best case scenario?
Not what if, even if.
Yeah. So I can do this thing. I want to do this thing. I will do this thing. If you apply yourself with action and then just believe in it, It's going to happen.
It will.
Look at what we're sitting here doing right now.
Like we talked about a year ago. Boom.
Would have never guessed this.
And talking about progressing in the job, a grunt. I'm in there, 8 and skate. Now, the uppers, some of the sergeants, some of the colonel even. They want me to move. They want me to do more. So now I took on a role as a field training officer, and now I get to lead and help new guys not only become good officers. They recognize how I've been there for so long, and I've always take good care of my body, and my mental health has never been better. And that's the number one thing that they credit me for is the mood. I love that job. I love being there. I have the coolest coworkers. I get to share the same cool stories. And not only that I get to do that with them, I get to do that with my family. The cool things that happen. You know, my nephew looking at me, I want to be a cop someday. All right, homie, I'm not a cop, but if that's what you want to do, you will be the damnedest cop.
Because you're leading by example.
Yeah, he's so hands-on and captures things so good. So I'm like, dude, he will be one hell of a cop one day because he's so prideful of who he is. And I've taken him to Alpha a few times, and he's worked out with me because he sees me. I want muscles, because who he sees on a daily basis, they don't have I call it the strong lumbar down the back. They don't have the biceps with the traps.
And they don't have the joy in life.
They don't. It's out of their eyes. They live for these games. They live for comfort. And he sees me. I'll go out there on a super hot day when he's out there playing. He likes riding lawnmowers. They're tractors to him. I'll just do a set of 25, 30 push-ups, few sets, get a nice pump going out in the sun, and he'll stop. Then he'll do them with me. Then he'll flex his tiny little arms with no meat on them, but he's just like, well, this give me muscles. Yeah, dude. Eat a banana. Well, yeah, dude, you need this. And it's just instilling belief, because you are going to be going through an age where these kids are susceptible to being compromised right now, because
what's your foundation?
They coddle weak. They coddle weakness nowadays, and I don't want Thorne to be no Dave Goggins, Jocko Willink, but by God, if he looks up to them more than anything else, please go ahead, keep doing what you're doing.
So I don't know if you've ever thought about this or heard this before, but something that I've kind of recognized in the last couple of years, we are not in control of the environment that is our foundation.
Yeah.
So as we become adults, there's certain things that might trigger you, might trigger me, that are from a childhood memory or thing that happened that was completely out of our control. And until we become self-aware enough to understand, like, I am not in control of what happened, but I am in control of how I react because of what happened. So I look at, my attorney asked me one day the difference between emotion and feelings. And so he's like, I'm stumped on this. I don't have a good definition of it, like just something I've never been able to figure out. And I couldn't answer him at first. And it hit me one day with something that I was dealing with. I felt a certain way because of something that happened to me as a kid in an environment, and I was emotional about that thing from the environment 25 years ago. And what happened, my trigger was my feeling of it. So I feel a certain way because of this emotional attachment to my environment as a kid. And the reaction to it, if outspoken, is going to be completely selfish, probably unaware of the reality of the situation, and probably triggered into something that's not even real. It's to society or to the thing, it's internal, real.
Yeah.
So like stopping, reflecting, taking a minute before you open your mouth, back to don't press send, but understanding like you're your superhero that you didn't have as a kid now.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so powerful. And so am I. The person that we desired so badly to have in our life as a kid that we didn't even know, we become. And it can be the opposite. The people that you didn't want to become, they never had a superhero, they never became one. So understanding like
true.
Adversity is everything in life.
Introduces you to yourself.
You either get made to be a great person that you desire to be, or you become a broken person and just another statistic of failure. And success to me is how you feel internally. Success is nothing to do with a tangible net worth. I thought buying R&R Pipeline, dude, was going to be the greatest damn thing I ever accomplished in my life. 12 years of sacrifice, being told I couldn't. One or two people in my life maybe ever believed that it was possible. Me being one of them. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt I was going to make it happen. Logic would tell you there was a 99.9% chance of failure. And there was. And even to this day, if I look back at the actual analytical side of the deal, and I think, damn, I would never take that deal, like if it was on the table for me. But that 0.1%, you're telling me there's a chance. And that's all I need.
Nope.
If I have the conviction on something like I did then, 0.1% is enough chance for me. Because I'll defy every odd if I know with my conviction and my commitment it's something I want.
And you embody it. You know what I mean?
But you know what the real reality of the situation was, Alex? 2 days after buying R&R Pipeline, that ownership title that I had worked my entire livelihood for, essentially, my whole entire adult career toward this one goal, I had finally accomplished this thing. I felt absolutely nothing.
Yep.
I was more empty and pitted that day than I'd ever been in my entire life, and I couldn't figure it out. But a couple years later, I started to understand success is not what we have, it's who we become. You're not a person that lost 140 pounds. You transformed your life and lives every day now. You're changing generations of your family with being the one to change. You could easily still be a 300-pound dude, and you decided to take the hard road for the greater good. That's success. That's what it feels like to be successful.
It is.
A $50 or $100 million net worth means nothing if you're miserable inside.
Yeah.
If you have all the money in the world, but you don't have any joy in your life or anyone to share it with, you have nothing. You're broke.
And that's when I realized, simplicity is key for me. Spending time with Junior, getting Thorn, working out with him, like showing him
what really matters in life.
Yeah, like just them being excited to see me. I'm like, because as much as it's like I stated before, my mentor lived in California. I flew out there. He's showing me, telling my story to these bodybuilders. It was surreal. And he's telling me that you need to move out here and do this. While that felt unbelievable at the time, because he rolled up in his, I think at the time it was his Rolls. And I Ubered there. And it was just, but I told him, I gave him my word. You're going to see a whole nother side of me. I'm going to show up. He probably called my bluff on it, but I flew out there, met him, and he's telling me this, but it was like, this guy's making millions. Looked me dead in my eyes, said, you need to be here and you can do this. While I'm not out there, it's like, as much as it sounded so appealing to have all of that, the one person who looks up to me still to this day is my nephew, because it all roots back to him. Because if it wasn't for him doing that, what would I still be here? Yeah. Where would I be now? Because I'm an addictive person. If I enjoy something, I'm going to face it full on in terms of anything. Like
unfortunately, I understand.
I think that's why I get so triggered by games, because that's what got me to that point where I was just letting life skid by. So when a lot of my friends, hey man, why don't you have Xbox Live or online or whatever? I was like,
I understand.
And then my nephew being brought into that so young, I don't have to be his like scapegoat or say, but it's like, I want him to know, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to live that life, I know I can help you and I will be there, because you unconditional love for that kid. Junebug Junior, she's the same way. I walk on water to her. And
dude, that's why I'm so outspoken about the health. Like, if I see a kid under 10 years old drinking pop, I want to knock the parents out. That's like child abuse to me.
Dude.
Like, that shit repulses me to the point that I struggle to be quiet. It's very, very difficult for me now.
Hates water. Hates it. Thank God for flavored waters, like for like stuff like these, because she just does not drink. She'll drink water, but if she has an option to drink pop, she will. If she's been chill that whole day, I will reward her with that. You know what I mean? You've been outside running around all day, whatever. You earned that little bit. Yeah. But like when it comes to that flavor, I get it though, because that pop, I hate it. Because I'll tell her, You wonder why you had to
It's a
get
gateway
caps
to
for your
hell.
teeth, and
Yeah.
it's just it eats you alive, and it's
Yeah.
an addiction. Like we talked about, people with their cigarettes. I
Mm-hmm.
need a can of pop. No, you don't. Go for a 10-minute walk outside. Do
Well,
something
it's
productive.
that insulin spike, and then it's just like a cigarette. You know, you get the nicotine boost, and then it drops down. 16 minutes later, you need another one.
Man.
Insulin's the same way. Insulin stability, like staying flatlined with your insulin throughout the day, or understanding what a sugar rush will do to your body. Like, I do some trial and error shit, not to get on a tangent, but I'll make this quick. But like,
Yeah, no, I'm
I
the
do
same
some
way.
trial and error where I might eat a higher carb breakfast. I never normally eat before the gym, but there's been like days where shit, I work till 10 o'clock. I still get up at 3. I do my thing, but I was about 3,000 calories short of average the day before. And like, I feel sick in my gut. So I'll eat, a few Reese cups. I'll eat something all the way to the gym every once in a while. And then I almost do it as a trial as well to remind myself what that feels like. And by 9 o'clock in the morning, dude, I go in, I do that, I train. Well, I'm starving after because I just spiked my insulin. So I eat again. And then by 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm crashed. And I'm intentionally understanding it.
It's
and to think
weird.
of how people even survive in society by doing that all the time.
Cereals,
Unbelievable.
pancakes,
But it all
waffles.
starts back to that foundational root. And what you're doing now, you're not saying don't do this. You're just saying, hey, if you don't want to, it's cool. Here's another way. But also, if you continue to do this, this is what could happen.
Yeah.
Because I was there.
Because, man, nothing.
Awareness is massive for people.
Situational awareness.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. That's everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Situational awareness, whether it be you're ingesting whatever you're ingesting mentally or food wise, it will affect you in the long run.
You are a product of your environment, no matter what you consume through your mouth, into your brain, whatever it may be.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because it all goes hand in hand. And like you said, carbs in the morning. I'm a turkey sausage patty guy with a coffee.
Yeah.
3 patties with a sugar-free syrup every morning after I work
Just
out.
nothing to spike that insulin,
Exactly,
and that's the
because-
thing. It's like, you don't want it to go up or down. You just want it to stay, like Jocko always says, it's not great, it's not bad, it's good. Just
Yeah.
keep it good. Just keep it even kill.
And it's simple.
It is. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Back to the basics. Them are things I talk about, quite a bit, because I think we get so complex or so misguided with complexity in general because of instant gratification, because of scams, all these, miracle pills. Take this pill, lose 50 pounds overnight. All the
Man.
things that are shortcuts are really detrimental, like sideliners. They're not shortcuts.
I've had many conversations about that Ozempic crap, and a lot of it's muscle tissue and muscle you're losing. You could sit there and tell me I lost 10 pounds last week. What'd you do?
So that's also something that we can get to here in a second. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then I want to get back to this because this is very impactful.
That's good.
This episode is brought to you by Max Effort Muscle. For all your supplement needs, go to maxeffortmuscle.com. All right, we're back from commercial break, and we've chalked it up about multiple different things. Before we continued, I want to take a breather for everyone to digest all the random shit we talked about. Transformation in itself is amazing. Iron building your infrastructure is amazing. If you haven't thought about it or you haven't tried it, please take one step in the right direction. One push-up, one squat, one crunch. Commit to 21 days of doing that. After 21 days, reevaluate your progress. Physically, you won't notice anything at very minimal. But just doing one a day, committing to one a day for 21 days straight, and your life is forever different after that.
Yeah.
Now, it's not about the feet physically. It's about checking the box, about the habit, about the establishment of success criteria in your life from that point moving forward. And if you continue with it, as you well know, Alex, the compound effect over time will be forever transformational.
Base hits.
So I say all that to say this, you had this massive weight loss journey. You had this overcoming lifelong fear, anxiety, hatred toward yourself, and you flipped it all in a positive light. You used the adversity as fuel, and you created a life that you love with purpose, with intent, with internal gratitude on a daily basis. And whatever life throws at you now might be hard, but you're very well seasoned and willing to take on that battle. When you take on this weight loss journey, this is something that I think is very, very important for people to understand. You look at the scale as the measurement of success.
Yeah.
And yes, it does play a huge part in the overall journey. But what price is paid whenever you only look at the scale? And what I mean by that, being fat and overweight is miserable. But I cannot imagine anything more detrimental to your mental health than losing 140 pounds and realizing I'm just 140 pounds less of the 300-pound version of myself, because what I did was not build any type of foundational muscle. And obesity is a complete massive issue in society.
Yeah.
But one of the main drivers of obesity is the people that are so overweight have no muscle mass to carry the weight.
No.
So not only are they overweight, they're fragile and weak and not able to carry that weight. So their strength is so depleted, their energy sources is all fat. There is nothing carrying this person around, and that's where the crumbling effect happens, where people just fall apart because there isn't anything to carry that weight. And then over time, they're so weak and so heavy, to get the weight off is almost an unattainable thing because of the mountain, the climb.
Yeah.
And because of the weakness and how mentally weak you are at that point, how physically weak you are, most people give up.
Yeah, they give up on
Or
life.
take a pill and it ends up killing them anyways. And so I want to talk about this because you went through this massive weight loss journey. Josh Akers, the guy I was telling you about earlier, went through a similar journey. He's, I think, right over 100 pounds. And probably the best advice I'd ever given him was just what we talked about. Josh, you're losing all this weight. What for? What does the scale matter? It's this artificial sense of gratification that is irrelevant. Throw the scale away. And people freak out when you talk about not weighing themselves, because that is the only tangible measurement to show success.
Exactly.
But indirectly, as a side effect of what you think you're doing the right thing for, becomes this stress habit of what the scale says. And the scale, weighing yourself daily, is only relevant for a couple things. It has to be the same time every day. Mm-hmm. When you wake up,
Fasted.
go to the bathroom, no water, no food, buck naked, weigh yourself. Like that's the only way to be consistent.
Number.
Wake up, bathroom, naked, wait, mark it. If you do it any other time throughout the day, it's irrelevant. Yeah. Your body fluctuates. I mean, I'll go up 5 or 10 pounds easy in a day.
I drink so much water.
Just on
dude.
water. Yeah. So you have to be dialed in on that part of it. But then stress, lack of sleep, dehydration, water retention, one bad meal, one night out of being dehydrated and having pizza, you can gain 8 pounds. You can lose 10 the next day, but you're only looking at what you gained, right? So at most, maybe once a week if you're going toward a certain thing. But I would say even when you get in this weight loss mode, in this journey, after you've established the groundwork, you know where you need to eat, you know what your training looks like, I'd say once a month would be at most. Because what is the scale going to tell you that the mirror doesn't? What is the scale going to tell you that your internal instincts in general, like what your skin feel like, what your hair feel like, what's your mood like, what's your energy like, what's your sex drive, what's your sleep like what is your lifestyle look like? Not what the scale says. Because as you can probably relate, all this weight loss is great if you feel it. But saying that I tangibly lost 140 pounds, but I just feel like a 140 pound like shit version of the 300 pound self. So talk to me about that. Did you have any experience with that? What has been the effect of muscle building for you in this whole entire journey? Because talking about gaining weight when we face the challenges that we have our life, talk about gaining weight is almost laughable for someone like us.
For me, it was finding the median. Like, what weight do I look good in? What weight do I feel strong in? And It's like I want those to be hand in hand. So right now, like I said, I'm always fluctuating between 178 and maybe 183. And if I go north of 183, that's when I start.
Do you have to weigh yourself to know?
No.
Yeah.
No. I can look at myself in the mirror. If my delts are more noticeable, if my abs are a little bit more noticeable, I'm like, it's a good day. And I know the night before I carb loaded, but I woke up and I have that morning skinny and it's just looks good. I'm like, I don't even need to step on there today. I'm going to go heavy today. That's how I like to dictate my lifts. But going hand in hand, I want to be strong, but I want to be comfortable.
Right.
And like I said, on a whim, I'll pull 405. Just no training. Yeah, I'll work up to it, but I'm like, God, this feels like 315. It feels light. Go heavier, but it's just all on how I'm feeling that day. And there's days I have a cheat meal. I'll treat myself because the 80-20 rule, I like to believe. I love that 80-20 rule. You're allowed
because it's a lifestyle.
It is. And you're allowed to have fun.
What you don't want to have happen, and this goes back to the weight loss thing with the scale. The scale is a measurement of success to so many people, but it's actually a stressor that actually sets you back from the thing you're trying to achieve. Yeah. So what you think you're doing as the success criteria is actually the opposite of it.
Exactly. And there's times that I just know, like I'll eat a heavy sodium-filled dinner or carb dinner, and I know I'm going to wake up bloated and I'm going to feel like shit. But I know I step on that scale, I'll sit there and tell myself, I know 3 of these pounds are from those 4 slices of pizza I had. Go and move on. And if the lift is bad with it, that's when I'm going to have a little bit of struggle of a day. But again, going back to, hey, I did it. But in terms of the scale, I weighed myself religiously, sometimes twice a day, starting out. And what really kept me going was my first transformation photo. I took my first one mid-January from when I started in December. And it was just enough. It was my back. I had those folds right here where my lats were. And I noticed they were damn near gone. Because it was about 20 pounds in my first month I lost. And like I said, when I'm directly and addicted to it, man, good luck stopping me because it's done for. And as time went on, I started living the 80-20 rule because I'm like, man, I really am not having fun. I'm not being invited out socially. Hey, let's go get munchies. Let's go get ice cream. I'm not being invited because they see me as not only just disciplined, I don't want them to feel threatened by me, but like, yo, invite me.
Well, you just don't want to be awkward about it. Like you don't want to be this.
Actually, I can't do that because oh man.
Yeah. And so this is touching on another powerful thing, but as you do this thing, like you choose not to. So saying no is a complete sentence, or it can be. Hey, do you want to go out and get drunk and eat pizza tonight? No. The reason doesn't matter. So many people try to justify why instead of just giving the answer.
Simple.
And if you're trying to get better and you're not going into this environment that you know is going to pull you back, and no is the word that you use, and then you don't say anything else, and you stop getting invited to these things, then maybe you shouldn't be there in the first place.
Yep. Because again, because like I said earlier, enlightenment is such a lonely thing.
It is.
When you hit a new level of self-improvement, you be looked at as extreme. And I was extreme. And some to this day still call me extreme, but I've been more lax in it. I'm still in the gym every day. I'm still moving.
Dude, I'm a fucking psychopath, dude. Don't sugarcoat the shit. I get it.
Exactly.
I understand.
Man, and some people, think, and again, comparison is the thief of joy. And I tell people like, hey, at one point I was in your shoes just starting out. And like I said, some guys at work will sit there and they want to do what I can do. Hey, it's going to take some elbow grease and you got to throw your nuts over your shoulder and you got to get to work. But the reward may take a little time, but man, it's so rewarding to be able to go out and have that pizza and have quality time with your friends and still just live.
And be alive.
And feel it. Like, man, and not look at everything. And my relationship with food, it, just like the scale has gotten so much better. I can go to a restaurant and that's a little carb heavy. And a lot of people may think that's extreme, but I'm like, I'm still here. I'm enjoying my time with it. I'm conscious. I'm present about it.
Yeah.
And
you're aware of what is going in your body and your mind. You're aware of everything that is being input. you're aware of because of what your output has to be.
Exactly.
And it has to match. And so when you're building muscle, you're intentionally, I tell people not to worry about the bulk because, especially females, oh, I don't want to be bulky. Listen, you're not going to be. It's impossible for you to be. You don't have the work ethic and it will never happen. But if you focus on getting stronger, the side effect is the foundational strength, the mental strength, the muscle that you do get through density. You're not going to become a 250-pound bodybuilder overnight. Just like you're not going to become, this transformation success like you are of 140-pound weight loss overnight. It takes time.
It does.
And I can promise you muscle is a lot harder to put on than fat.
I wish someone told me that, starting out, because, that fat shed off me, and the journey of building muscle still to this day. That's another reason why I love to just eat a little bit more, because I know, hey, I'm going to use it.
But you understand that food is not a present, it's fuel.
Yeah.
So are you going to go piss in your truck tank, in your fuel tank, or dump water instead of gasoline in your car and expect to go real far? No. Why is your body is the one thing in life that you have that you are in 100% control of that you cannot replace. You only get one. There is no second body on layaway. This is all you got.
It drives me nuts. People wonder why they feel like shit and why they're so negative because you're eating shit.
Yeah.
You're not taking time out of your day and Googling a certain type of substitute. That's one of the best things. Like my buddy Clark. Oh, dude, my buddy Clark's lost. I think he's damn near lost 180 pounds at this point. And unfortunately, he's out of state. But shout out to him. He's one of those guys.
What was his name?
Clark.
Shout out, Clark.
Let's
get you on the show.
Oh, dude, he's one of my OGs.
We can set it up virtually. Let's do it.
He sits there sometimes randomly. We'll either talk all the time or we'll just go through spurts. But it'll be a random, I'm doing this because of you. He said, I'll see you doing push-ups in your apartment by yourself. I got to do this. You're calling me out. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing. You're not always calling people out. You're calling them up. Like, I know you can be better. Mm-hmm. I know you can be better. Like, you have the greatest mindset of, why don't you feel that about your body? Because
that is so
that's how I felt about me.
It is.
So it goes back to be what you admire. I admire someone. I admire abs. I admire muscles. I admire strength,
discipline,
and I love tattoos. So I'm getting tattoos. I'm being what I want to be, and I'm finally able to do it. And
being authentic is such a superpower, man. It really is.
And that's the thing. Being yourself, and I'll always be myself. I will talk my shit. I will have my fun, and I have the greatest people in my life because, again, like we talked, negativity will remove itself out of your life, and people who benefit you will stay and support you. And again, I hang out with my friends who don't live and die by the sword like I do, but we still have a good time. We'll still go to the gym. And again, the scale, going back to that, every day, weighed myself, and I would sweat more. I'd sweat those numbers. Now, I'll just do the occasional yawn, tap the scale, step on it.
Just out of curiosity, but it doesn't affect anything with your mood, with your mindset. If anything, it's like a head nod to yourself in the mirror, like, yep, that's kind of what I figured it would be. Like you're almost playing a mental game with yourself and guessing what it is.
Like chess in a way.
Yeah. So like my body weight right now is the 230 to 233 range is where I like sitting. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I had a sinus infection all weekend, felt like shit. I actually had an appetite. Normally I'm so busy, I just eat what I need to eat and that's it. And I don't think twice about it. But I wasn't active because of how I felt, so I ate probably more than I should have. And my body's inflamed, my head's all plugged up, I'm not, hydrated, just the normal things in life. And I look at myself, my gut bloating is horrible, probably because I ate things I shouldn't have ate. I'm dehydrated, so it makes it even worse. So now I feel like the dude that eats all the hot dogs and has a six-pack sticking out, like a 9-month baby's in my stomach with abs, right? But I know and understand where it's at. And when I come to the gym yesterday, I'm still inflamed. I can feel it in my neck, my cheeks are kind of puffy, and it's part sickness and it's part dumbass. It's a combo.
No.
But I know what it is. And then last night even, I still felt a little bit. I barely ate any dinner last night. I got home late. And I could have woke up or I could have pounded food last night. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to. I had a very light meal because I didn't want to be digesting food while I'm trying to go to sleep. I underate yesterday, woke up this morning. I don't know what I weighed, but I can tell you that my abs were popping out. My chest was full of veins again when I was working out this morning. I'm back to normal.
Yeah.
And it's like that subtle reminder not to let yourself get down when you're seeing something, but also not getting too high whenever someone's praising you or whenever someone is putting you up on this pedestal or whenever you're full of yourself. It's staying even keeled. Everything happens for a reason. Everybody has a season in your life.
Exactly.
And the ultimate driver of the reason I have my mentality now is what I call bad day perspective. The one thing that we have as far as a bond goes that can never be broken is the day that Mason Baker left this beautiful earth and is no longer with us. I call it bad day perspective, and I don't know how your day went that day, but I'll share mine and why I have been able to transform my mindset because of that day. So my best friend was diagnosed with cancer probably 12 years ago now. It was in his eye to start. He ended up losing sight in one eye, and then it came back multiple times. He is now stage 4 cancer for 6 years. Just had his third brain operation just a couple weeks ago. The guy is a walking miracle, and is 5 years ago he should have been dead, and he's been told that so many times I think he gets sick of hearing it. Mentally callous, toughest dude I've ever met, and he's been through absolute hell. But the time frame, and when Mason passed away, we're sitting at Roosters. My best friend is telling everyone, me and about 5 other guys, how his cancer's back. It's on his liver. He has to get a procedure done on his liver. And there's a 50-50 shot of him actually surviving the procedure because of how the margin for error was so minimal that one wrong thing and it's over. So he's telling us about this, and my phone's ringing off the hook. And I'm not really paying attention to it. I think it rang, and then I grab it, and it was Mackenzie, and she called right again, 2 in a row. I was like, that's kind of weird. So I answer the phone, and I'm at Roosters, New Albany, and she's like, hey, Mason got in a car accident, and he didn't make it, passed away. I need you to come to the farm. And she was so calm, it was eerie. And I didn't know how to respond to it. So I just was sitting there silent, and she's like, are you there? I'm like, yeah. And I might have asked a question or something. I blacked out. And I just froze. And I'm staring into the sky. And I just don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. And then I just feel like this rush of almost panic come over me. And Jeremy looks at me. He's like, what happened? And I said, Mason passed away in a car accident. And he said, go. And I'm thinking about paying the bill. I am distraught. And I had a 45-minute drive from there to get to the farm. And I never had processed how truly and extremely grateful I was for the moments that we have on earth. But that day forever changed me. And what was the worst day of my life has become, it's still the worst day of my life. And God forbid there's one that becomes worse than that. But the worst day of my life has taught me more than anything else in my entire life. Because what I didn't understand before that day was I thought I knew what it was like to be present. I thought I knew what it was like to have purpose and be grateful for something. But I didn't understand that. And I thought I had bad days before with adversity I had, parents getting divorced, just things growing up. I thought I understood what a bad day was. But what I realized more than anything on that day, I have only had one bad day in my entire life. And every day before that bad day, any day that I thought was a bad day, wasn't. I just didn't realize it. And every day since that day has been a good day. and I have realized it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get stressed out. I don't get pissed off. I don't get tired and cranky. I'm human.
Yeah.
But every day since that day has been a good day. And life's purpose for me became much clearer years after that. And I started to understand how important things are. Because everything is going to not be here at some point. Everything we look at, everything we touch, every relationship we have, good or bad, everything that we have in our life today will not always be here. Everything has a runtime. And understanding that time is one thing that can never be replaced. Mm-hmm. And wealth and being rich in life isn't tangible. It's internal. It's not this external thing that you desire to have. It's internal. It's how you feel with the people that you're around. It's how you feel about what you did that day. When you put your head down on the pillow at night, are you proud of what you did that day?
That is your life. Are you proud of it?
Did you fulfill your purpose for that day? Did you give it everything you had? Were you intentional about your time? Were you intentional about your relationships? The conversations that you had, were you present for them? Now, I'm not advocating to be a robot and saying that I'm some perfect person or any of that. I'm as much of a shit show as the next person is, and I'm aware of it. But the moments in my life that gave me so much joy and fulfillment now, before that bad day, I may have never even understood or reflected or thought about.
Yeah.
So the little times, where my daughter comes up and tells me that she loves me, like out of nowhere. And, when Freya gets a stripe in jiu-jitsu, and she's so excited, and she didn't want to be there that day, and she cried on the way there, but she went and did that hard thing and then gets the stripe. And then the fulfillment in her is not even comparable to what I felt. And so bad day perspective taught me that, man, every day is a good day. That I am absolutely blessed to do what I do because I have fulfillment and joy in my life that cannot be taken from me.
No.
But I would have never understood that had it not been for that day. And the one other thing that absolutely changed me about that day and about Mason in general was, like we talked about earlier, just going for the thing. Just go for it. If you have a conviction about it and it's something you want to do, just go for it. And don't ask for forgiveness. Just go for it. You don't need permission. You don't need forgiveness. If it's something that's not harming anybody else, you have a conviction for it, do not take that with you because you will regret it.
Yep.
So pursue the thing that you want to pursue in life. If it don't work out, whatever. The outcome is something that we cannot control, but we can control our output and our energy toward the thing that we want to get in life.
Yeah.
And the attitude that we have along the way.
It's like I said, not what if, even if.
Finding joy in the journey. So I talk about joy in the journey and not having destination disease. So if you get so caught up on this 140-pound weight loss, but you didn't enjoy the day-to-day, when you get that weight loss, when you buy R&R Pipeline, you're not going to feel gratitude for it. Because what it actually is about is the way to get there. And it's how we feel internally about the thing that we desire to have. And I look at achievement like climbing a mountain. And one day the mountain that is so high up there that's in front of you, you're climbing up this mountain and you're just looking up and it's like, I'm never going to get there, but I'm going to keep climbing. And then one day you'll look and it's like, oh my God, I'm almost to that mountain. And you think you've hit Mount Everest. You think it's the top. And you get up and you turn around. You take a minute to be grateful. But then you realize that the cloud cover's moving and that this was only a stepping stone.
Another one.
That it wasn't the top of the mountain. And the misery doesn't come from knowing that there's another mountain to climb. I think the misery comes from understanding that I didn't enjoy the climb in the first place. So not being grateful for life's adventures, whether good or bad, and not having clarity about why they happen. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes connecting the dots is something that we will never understand.
Exactly.
But years down the road, we'll be able to reflect. Me and you sitting here today is because of the worst day of my life. Not because of a good thing, but what became the worst day of my life has created so much good internally for me that I can show externally and hopefully help other people. Because I can't change that day. What happened is never going to change. And how I feel about it inside is never going to change. But what I do because of it can create change. And that in itself is powerful.
It is.
To know that this horrific tragedy is going to change a lot of people's lives, mine included. May change my family for generations to come. I don't know.
Well, it's like I said, like you just said, your daughters, they're gonna know. They're gonna learn from you, and they're gonna all because of, like you said, the bad day.
Yeah.
And you're not dwelling. You're not taking anger out on it. You're responding. Goes right back to that.
Because no matter what, the day isn't going to change. I can be in a really pissed off, bad mood because of that day, or I can be in a good mood and use it as a way to help inspire other people to do better.
Because that's what he would do.
That's what Mason would have wanted.
That's what he would do and what he would have wanted.
1,000%. And that's what building your infrastructure is all about to me. You know, I use the weight loss thing and the iron and the muscle building and the wellness as a gateway to finding purpose in life and finding joy in life. Activity and exercise in any form or fashion is all good if it's what you enjoy doing and you do it consistently.
Exactly.
But
why would you not do what you don't love?
100%. And the mental clarity from it is where the real power comes. We understand that to the highest degree because of adversity, because of that bad day. That bad day has changed both you and me forever. And it will forever be ingrained in us. The last thing that we said, the last conversation we had, it never goes away. Mm-mm. But that's okay. I'm forever grateful for the time that I got to spend. And I will be forever grateful about how that day is now perceived to me and how I can use it to create change in other people.
Exactly.
Because we all die twice. One time is when we're buried. And the last time is the last time somebody says their name. So I will make it a mission of mine to not let that name die. Mm-mm. Because of that bad day. And that's where the power of gratitude, being present, understanding the ebbs and flows in life, it's extremely powerful to embrace that and be okay with it, because we don't control it. We don't control what happens, but we control how we react to it. And the reaction to everything in life starts with your mindset.
Because it's so easy to be negative and so easy to hate, but it's so hard to find the love in it, to find the growth in it. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's part of life and what you do with it.
Yeah. But
it's so easy, and you didn't do that. You chose the hard route, and like you said, it's going to help so many people because of it.
And it makes all the hard days, all the bad days worth it whenever you can take a moment and understand the purpose behind it in the first place. Because it's so easy to get caught up in your own way. Say, oh man, this shit happened, this happened, this happened. Who cares? I'm going to go home and hang out with my kids tonight. I have a healthy family. I have a great life. Who cares about me being a little bit pissed off because of something that happened?
Yep.
I don't have any emotional attachment to that thing. I'm just frustrated. So get over it, because no one else gives a shit. Why should I?
Exactly. Leave the leftovers. Leave the leftovers at work. Leave it. Your family don't deserve it. Your people don't deserve it. It's not them. So I'm good. I'm always good.
Yeah.
I will always be good.
Jocko's, statement about that is so powerful. And I think Joe Rogan is the one that had reflected on it originally.
Just that
I heard
word,
it.
good.
And it's like, it's just the mindset. It's not some fairy tale, some, unrealistic optimism. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, and it's not raining a pot of gold outside. Like, gold is not falling out of the sky and life is so great. But if I'm in a good mood, good things are going to happen. If I'm in a bad mood, bad things are going to happen. What do I want the outcome to be, good or bad? Good. So what's my mindset? Good.
Simple.
Not always easy, but it's simple.
Exactly. And it's not far out of reach.
No.
Like you said, you just got to think.
Yeah.
You are what you think. So you're allowed to love yourself. You're allowed to put yourself on a pedestal for a day. You're allowed to be good to yourself.
Yep.
And like you just said, be what you admire. Give that away to everybody.
Yep.
Because that's what they deserve.
And at the end of the day, what you realize is you find joy in the journey, and you set out to strive for these accomplishments, and the byproduct of the accomplishment is the actual accomplishment, because the accomplishment is how you feel internally. You set out this achievement as a milestone, but what actually happens is you accomplish internal gratitude, skills to get to that external thing. And that mountain that seemed so high up and was so hard to get there to climb, when you're standing on top of that mountain, you realize, man, I didn't enjoy that shit at all. I really need to process that and enjoy the next climb.
Yep.
So then you start climbing again, and when you enjoy it, the climb is much easier. And then one day what happens, you become this person that you would have never imagined you could become, and you understand it. And as you're climbing up the mountain, you realize that the person you had become was actually the achievement. And that mountaintop that was so far up now is so far down and away from you that you can barely see it in the distance.
I did that.
Absolutely did it.
You just sit there and say, I did that.
Yeah.
Because, starting out, I never had no number what I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like you had no real idea what number you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it took the time, and you found it. And then you get to help others with it.
Yeah.
And then you'll get the random message from somebody, hey, I'm doing this because of you. Or, hey, I need your help with something. And 10 years ago, no way.
Yep.
No way.
And the 300-pound version of Alex that, had he been able to forecast what the future looks like, could not have predicted what you're doing today.
No.
You didn't even know the life existed.
Mm-mm.
And
not the life of a medium or a large shirt, not
looking in the mirror and smiling.
Not always constantly doing this when I sit down. Something
Not
so
just hating
simple.
yourself. I get it, man. It's so powerful. And, as you climb that mountain, the person that you become and learning to get over the mountain, that's the whole point of the mountain in the first place.
And the people you meet along the way. Similar mindsets, similar stories, different stories.
And that's what the climb's all about. It's about the journey in life. I worked my whole entire life to be able to wake up at 3 a.m. with a smile on my face. When people ask me about, my schedule and stuff, it cracks me up because they're like, oh man, must be nice. I'm like, it is nice. And I earned every fucking minute of it. It is nice to be able to wake up at 3 o'clock, to leave my house at 3:30, to train from 4 to 6, and then train again from 6 to 8, and then put in 50 hours in a week. It is nice.
And then have the time to reap the rewards with your family.
And embrace the journey and enjoy it. The roller coaster that goes up and is this, hands up, all in, great experience, comes down.
Yeah.
And it gets shitty sometimes when it comes down. But understanding that with every up is a down. But if you stay in the middle, man, it's really a good journey the whole entire time.
Discipline outweighs motivation.
Oh, 100%.
Dude.
Yeah. I don't feel like doing this shit 90% of the time, but it's not an option. I don't negotiate with myself, so I just do it.
Exactly. No off days. That's so cliche to say, but when it becomes habit, people see it and then they admire it.
Yeah.
They resent you for it at first,
Yep.
but I'm just being
Because they
truthful
resent
with you.
themselves.
Yeah, it's fun
Yeah.
because you get to reward yourself in various ways.
And no off days is very interesting because I agree with it. I have no unintentional days or no days without intent. Every day has to have some meaning of intent behind of it. It might be me sitting on my ass and not doing anything that day, but I'm intentional about it because I'm with the people that I love and I'm doing it on my terms.
Presently,
And I'm there, intent. I am never going to have balance. Balance to me is a crock of shit. But I don't think balance is the issue. I think it's the intent when it's intent with your environment that you're in. So if I'm home, I'm home. Now, this is a struggle, but that's the desire, is to be intentional about the time, not just how much you spend, but how much you actually spend doing it.
yep.
So being present, being there, being all in on the thing that you're doing at the time with intent
Exactly.
is powerful.
Because nothing drives me more crazy than Junior. She's a 9-year-old tech savvy, young sassy girl. But when we're together, I'm not allowed on my phone. I'll pull it out for a song and she'll sit there. Alex, no phones.
That's
She's
perfect,
not
though.
she's not allowed to be on her phone or tablet.
Right.
We'll go to a restaurant, take her out to eat, look around, everyone's on their phones, not present. Like, this is quality time that they're going to
Yeah.
remember. And we talk about the dumbest things, but
Yep.
she's 9, I'm 29.
Yep.
So we're enjoying this time.
Right.
And going out with my friends, same thing. We hardly touch our phone. It could be reliving old times, it could be talking about future plans, but we're having a good
You're
time
there.
doing it.
Yeah. That's
Because
awesome, man.
that's
You're all
what it's
in.
all about.
Yeah. Alex, this is very sentimental for me. This was an absolute privilege. Come back anytime. Your transformation
Not
is
far away.
absolutely incredible. I have to say this again. To go through what you went through in the face of adversity like you did, the thing that could have drove you away from ever training again drove you to being an example of greatness.
That means
Because
a lot, dude.
Mason passing away could have been the thing that hindered you from ever going back to the gym. Because I know how tough it is. And how powerful it is that you did not only probably embrace one of the hardest things that you've ever went through, if not the hardest, and you went back to that place and still embraced it every day. And what you did was create life-changing results for you and so many people around you. Because of what happened, we're both better people.
Yeah.
Because of what happened, you are going to continue to leave a legacy and create change for your family for generations to come, because you took the hard road and did the thing that was hard. At the darkest time and the darkest day, you did the thing that was the hardest. And you will forever reap the reward from it. And I got to say, man, I am fucking proud of you. I appreciate your time today.
That means a lot, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Everybody, if you want to change your life, listen to me. First of all, follow this man on social media. So what's your social media handles?
My Instagram is at 6ALDRIDGE. Like it's spelled Baldridge, but with a 6.
There you go. I'm not going to repeat that because then you definitely won't remember where to go. Check out Alex. He has a lot of transformational stuff on his Instagram page. He shows the real, authentic version of who he hated. And now he showcases himself because of love for himself. And I'll tell you what, if that doesn't want to get your ass out of bed and drop the weight every day, then I don't know what will. Look yourself in the mirror, check yourself. If Alex can do it in the depths of hell at the worst time in his life, anybody out there can do it. Take a step in the right direction, everybody. Life is good. Keep it even killed. Iron Infrastructure Podcast, we're out.